What's up, guys? This is Boondocks, and right now I want to talk about an idea that I have for Warframe, and I'm sure it's all over the forums already, and I'm definitely not going to be the first person to discuss this. And it's the idea of having a shooting gallery that you can go and test weapons. And there's already someone in a location in the game that you could legitimately do this. For instance, for starters, I could go over the simulator and test out any weapon that I currently have and see how it works against enemies by just coming over in here and going into the simulacrum. But in my personal idea would be, yes, you can have the simulacrum for testing your overall build where you've actually modded a weapon you already own. But if you just want to test a weapon unmodded to see how it fires and if you'd enjoy it, I think Darbo should have like a little shooting range off to the side over here with like holographic enemies or some stupid crap like that, and you could test. Additionally, it kind of fits his whole personality as he's this weapons vendor that you can come to and buy the Darbo deal of the day, which sometimes can get a discount of up to 75%. So to me, this would really work pretty well because you can come to Darbo, see what he has on sale. If you don't own it but are curious about whether or not you'd enjoy that weapon, you could test it, or any other weapon for that matter, and then possibly purchase it with the discounted platinum. Now, why do I think this is necessary? It really comes down to the fact that so many weapons work so differently in this game because it's a sci-fi slash fantasy element to a lot of the weapons. For instance, if you look at what I have equipped, I have the Cyanide Simular, the Sonicor, and the Redeemer. All three of those weapons are rather unique, with the Simular launching out those little hovering balls of energy that when you stack up enough of them create that black hole, doing damage over time as well as the initial explosive damage, and can suck enemy corpses as well as pickups in. It's very unique with its short range but interesting utility. The Sonicor, same thing, very short range but does AoE damage, has the knockdown proc on it, but doesn't have all that high of top-end damage. So it's something that you might want to test to see if you actually would enjoy. Then finally, the Redeemer, being a gunblade, it's rather unique as far as melee weapons are concerned, because not only do you have your standard melee slashes, but now you also have your charged-up shotgun blast. And because of that, you may not know whether or not you like it. This is more important for new players who don't have the materials to build all the weapons in the game, whereas higher level players, as far as MR is concerned, are most likely able to build pretty much anything they come across, and in all honesty, they don't really care because they'll already have their favorite weapons, and then building more weapons is just to raise your MR to the next level anyway. So, why do I think this would help both new players and DE? As far as new players are concerned, it removes a lot of the buyer beware. So, this is important both from spending your hard-earned resources, especially if it's something like a Nearode required to build a weapon. This will help determine whether or not that's something you want to work towards. Additionally, it can help stimulate the spending of platinum. The idea here is if you test out a weapon and see that you enjoy it, you're more likely to want it immediately and therefore spend the platinum. Whereas if you see a weapon that looks interesting but you're not quite sure how it works, well then you might have to go through forum posts and determine if it scales well, how it actually operates, maybe try to find a video on it or something before you're even interested in paying the platinum for it. So while it may not allow for impulse buying anymore, it will stimulate the general economy for DE as people are more likely to spend actual money in the form of platinum on weapons that they know they'll enjoy using. And this is really important when it comes to weapons like the Tonkor, which if you look on a lot of forum posts, the Tonkor is generally talked about as a devastatingly powerful weapon. But in practice, it's relatively hard to aim and use. So personally, I only use it on certain situations or if I'm going to be running on Zephyr. Now, for a new player going on reading these posts, they can then get the Tonkor, build it, and then see that, oh, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. I don't really like this, and I spent so much of my time and resources to build it, now I'm fucked. That might dissuade them from continuing playing as much as they should. Whereas if they could test it beforehand and be like, oh my god, I want this now, instead of the maybe not so much, well, then they might be willing to just drop the platinum to have the open slot already, plus the catalyst thrown on there. It's all around win-win for both parties. A good example in real life to compare this to are cars. You don't just go and buy a car. You go and look for different cars that you're interested in and then take them out for test drives. You don't just go, look at a car and go, that's the one I want. Well, maybe some people do. But for the general population, you go and you test drive vehicles until you find the one that you're most interested in, the one that speaks to you, whether it's from comfort of use or general style and look, or some cases fun. I personally want to buy a sports car because that's not my thing, but I know a lot of people buy them because they're fun. Now, on the flip side, this can still be applied to the weapon use because being able to test them out will promote the purchasing and the working towards objectives. Whereas if you don't know exactly what you want in the game, you can sometimes get burnt out by the overwhelming volume. And similar to the forum posts on weapons, the same thing happens with cars, and that's another good comparison going back to that, where you can look at forum posts on cars and be like, yes, this one's great, and your friends are all telling you, this car is amazing, but then you try it out and you're just let down. And that's a really shitty feeling. At least in cars, you do get the chance to test drive it. But imagine if you spent your time and resources to get that car on the recommendations of others just to find out it wasn't for you. And the same thing can happen in this game, and that's why they need a shooting gallery. So, like, comment, and subscribe, and until next time, peace.